The phone conversation between fantasy veterans Bob Harris and Matt Waldman is a quick and dirty rundown of players, units, or teams from Sunday's games. Feel it or fuck it is our instant verdict on the fantasy value of a player or situation, not the ability, effort, or character of the player. This is just how two old-timers in this industry talk when they got a lot to cover in a little time.
Greetings, Matt Waldman. It's week 7, and I feel like it just gets weirder every damn Monday.
Well, maybe it does, but that's the kind of the fun part about all this, isn't it? Don't you think?
I don't know.
You,
I want a little reliability. I want a little predictability. I'm old. I need these things.
Yeah, well, one person that hasn't been predictable is Lamar Jackson. You feeling it? The past 3 games have been kind of rough.
This last one was really rough, and I think that's no, I'm not feeling it right now. And I was going into this game. I thought it was a great matchup for him, both as a passer and a runner. Some surprising developments there. No, I'm not feeling well. Like you're still playing him, like you're feeling him, and you're hoping for a course correction. But boy, this is not what you drafted.
Yeah, all the different pressures have been affecting this team. But I'll say that, and I'm with you. I mean, I'm not casting them at the side of the road, but certainly, if I have more compelling options in terms of matchups, and then I'm going with those for a little bit. Gus Edwards, though, he made his debut. Feeling that?
Feeling him, but fuck John Harbaugh. Like, so all year long, this has been the theme with the Ravens. They slow roll every player back. Right. I mean, we can look at Ronnie Stanley, who played like 10 snaps, or, minimal role his first game back. J.K. Dobbins slow rolled back. Obviously, that didn't work out well for them. So maybe it's change of course or whatever. But all of a sudden this week, you had Kenyon Drake playing reasonably well for a couple games. Looked like he was gaining a little momentum. Then you bring Edwards back. Look, Edwards is a good player. He has been. And so feeling Gus, not feeling Harbaugh's approach, scattershot approach. Pick a lane, John.
Yeah, maybe so. I like what they did with Gus Edwards. I feel like that's likely going to be the biggest outcome there, is that Gus Edwards is a feeling it. Kenyon Drake, I mean, certainly rosterable, someone you want on your roster, but yeah, those starting days are few and far between.
Was hoping to get one more game out of him if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. So Harrison Bryant, feeling him with Njoku out?
Well, we'll see how bad Njoku is, but obviously, I mean, he says he's going to be okay. I don't think okay means playing this week. So yes, as long as David Njoku's out, I will feel me some Harrison Bryant. Just as like it's the tight end pool, right? I mean, it's a shallow pond, and it doesn't take much to stand out.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I like what Harrison Bryant can do to get open. I don't think you're going to see quite as many dynamic downfield routes from him as what they do with Njoku. So honestly, fuck it. I'm probably not even bothering. How about David Bell? Could he be possible? Who? David Bell.
Oh, the rookie.
Yeah.
Not feeling it. Not feeling any really receivers here beyond Amari Cooper, and probably really only feeling him at home. But no, you're playing Amari Cooper. But no, I'm not going to dive too deep into this receiving core.
Yeah, good player, bad situation. Yes. And that's basically it. Speaking of players, we didn't know whether was ever going to be good, and the situation hasn't been good. But last week, last week and this Sunday, Paris Campbell.
2 games.
Yeah, 2 games.
I'm feeling this a little bit. So this goes back multiple seasons to the people who cover the team, proclaiming him a special talent, a unique guy, and that everyone was just amazed by what he could do on the field. And obviously the problem was he couldn't stay on the field, and a lot of it was weird stuff: car accident, a weird fracture in his leg, a variety of things. Now he's on the field, and like it was a slow start, right? He didn't have a lot of targets over the first few games. Maybe this is a function of the fact that Matt Ryan is surprisingly throwing the ball over 40 times a game. Maybe everybody's going to do well, but 21 targets over the last 2 weeks, I think that's an indication of maybe a role going forward, or at least enough of one where he can help you navigate the bye weeks. Feeling that.
I'm feeling they wanted him to be their version of Keenan Allen, and while he isn't Keenan Allen, there are certainly a lot of elements to his game that work out well. He runs well after the catch. He's able to work under the zones, and they had a nice play set up for him for a touchdown that I think is going to be repeatable. So I'm definitely feeling Paris Campbell now. But are you feeling Matt Ryan?
Well, he is no steely-eyed missile man, as Jim Irsay claimed over the weekend. Look, he's throwing the ball a lot, right? I mean, if you want volume, you're getting volume there, and with a number of quarterbacks coming up short, probably some of whom we'll talk about here this very day. He's in the mix. He's in the streaming mix for me. I think he's a strong quarterback too for Superflex. I'm not like pushing him into starting lineups, but again, 40 plus pass attempts a game until something happens with Jonathan Taylor to alter that trajectory. He's going to be a viable play.
Listen, I'm feeling Matt Ryan. I was feeling him before. I'm still feeling him now. I watched that game. The first interception, Paris Campbell made the wrong side adjustment on a blitz, and Ryan expected to run a stop route, and he ran an out and up, which resulted in a pick six. And the second one was a beautiful piece of coverage by David Long, the linebacker, who basically had three responsibilities, and he did a great job of baiting Ryan in one direction and then cutting off the pass. Those were the two interceptions of the day. The rest of the time, Matt Ryan looked pretty darn good. So, you know, I can understand that. I'm rolling with this. I think this line, they've missed two guys, and it just hasn't gotten better.
Right.
So.
That's been an issue for me is, you know, he's getting the ball out of his hand very fast. So kudos to that for him. But at some point, I feel like they want to course correct and get the running game on track, and it's going to come slap us in the face as soon as we start trusting Matt Ryan. I have issues.
It may very well, but I think all it'll do is raise the efficiency. I think this team, it's like that guy in Major League. I think this team is coming together, you know, and nobody really believes it. I think there's a little bit of that going on.
Jim Irsay believes that.
Yeah, he does. I'm almost there with him, but I don't know if me and him have been bellying up at the same place. So, Robert Woods, are you feeling that at all?
Nah, fuck that. I mean, I'm only interested in one receiver in Tennessee, and his name is Derrick Henry.
See, there you go. I'm with you on that. I want to feel it. He's hanging out to at a very thread of my roster where I have him, but it wouldn't take much for me to pry him loose, I think. In terms of finding a more compelling free agent. Tom Brady, are you feeling that?
No, fuck that. Fuck the worst team in football.
Wow, that bad?
No, I mean, no. Like I'm obviously overstating. I'm being hyperbolic here, but no. Right now, I'm not playing him. I mean, he said it himself. Or scored 3 points. That's not enough. He is correct.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, I would say this: the receivers have not been on the same page with him.
Right,
I
saw that.
The pressure's up the middle, and so maybe there's a little less pressure than what he's had in the past, than last year. But the source of the pressure, where it's coming, is having a greater intensity.
Is his least favorite kind of pressure as well. But also, you know, I mean, like maybe had Mike Evans not dropped that sure touchdown, you know, to start the game, we would be having a different conversation about this whole game and Tom Brady, and we'd be feeling better about things. Yeah. But for right now, I mean, I don't need to force him into lineups because I haven't been. Yeah. I've been, you know, like Matt Ryan. I would be playing Matt Ryan right now easily over Tom Brady.
I would too. Now, and the same thing goes. He's in the Lamar Jackson camp right now. I mean, you're not going to drop him if you have him, unless it's a shallower league where you can pick up some really quality talent that you could roll with otherwise. But you're probably not starting him at this point. Cade Otton, though. Now
feeling a little bit again the shallow pool. I mean, like anyone who rises up and says, "Look at me," I'll stop and look at. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, if you didn't draft a tight end early this year, you know, and by early I mean, you know, you get one of the top two, like, and we'll extend that down. You know, I think Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, and up to this point, David Njoku, Gerald Everett has been a solid weekly play. I mean, Tyler Higbee based on volume, but I mean, once you get outside that group of maybe 8 to 10 players, you know, we're all looking to stream, and we all say that every year. Well, if you punt on tight end, you could just stream. Well, you and 10 other guys in your league are all chasing the tight end of the flavor of the week, and I think Otton may be a guy who can give you a consistent enough role going forward. Hopefully, if this offense improves. And again, just, you know, I was being hyperbolic about Tom Brady. They're not playing well now. There have been times in the past where they haven't been playing well, and they've turned it right around. I mean, I go back. I think I've used this example 2 years ago. Tom Brady couldn't complete a deep ball. Didn't have a completion over 20 yards for like half the year. By the end of the season, he was the best deep ball thrower in the league. So, you know, the season is an evolution, and, you know, we're sitting here while we're losing games. These other teams are working. We're busy complaining. Those teams are working to get better. So hopefully they will, and maybe Otton will be a viable play. He's not anyone you need to play every week.
Well, I'll just put it simply. Dalton Schultz last year Harrison Bryant and Cade Otton are at least as good as both of them. Cade Otton is the subject of more quick-hitting, dump-off type of routes and occasional play-action passes that work because he's the one that's going to have time to get up the seam along with Chris Godwin. So, to me, he could be one of the 3 most compelling options on the team based on basically the horror show that's going on with their offensive line right now. D'Onta Foreman, are you feeling D'Onta Foreman?
I always feel D'Onta Foreman. I mean, great story from last season. Came off the practice squad, became a pretty dominant runner, given the opportunity. I think this year he can be the same. I think they'll split it up. And, I just 2 things. I would like this team to be successful because, I think Steve Wilkes, for the second time in his life, gets dealt a really crappy hand and, make a miracle happen. Well, I hope he makes a miracle happen just to, shove it in everyone's face. But also, I don't think he's in a good position to do that, but I do think that some players, mainly guys like Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, are going to have a chance to at least be serviceable fantasy plays for you and I. I'm feeling D'Onta Foreman.
I think I like D'Onta Foreman out of Texas. I was really feeling that after the Achilles injury. I was kind of saying fuck that. After watching him this weekend, I got to say this: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had basically a bunch of injury substitutes in their secondary, and D'Onta Foreman was treating them like they were a bunch of reserves in terms of baiting them left and right. He should, but on top of that, their 2 best linebackers, White and David, were awful in the run game. So I'm going to say I'm feeling it, but I'm going to be playing him next week. I'm going to put him on this list next week because I have a feeling that the Buccaneers make him a much more of a feel-it type of player than he really is.
Right. I totally agree with that. And, I was only half hyperbolic about the worst team in football right now. They're not playing well, the Buccaneers, and that helped. And that's the way, like a guy like Terrace Marshall. I mean, look, I think P.J. Walker just had the game of his career and probably not another one coming. So I'm not really, I'll extend this to DJ Moore, and as much as I'd like for Steve Wilkes to be successful, I don't think he will be, and I don't think this passing attack is going to be good. I don't think they have a good quarterback. We'll see what PJ Walker can be serviceable again for a second straight week. This may have, like you said, bitten more due to the opponent than anything.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's what I think Foreman possibly gets one more week because Chuba Hubbard's got the ankle issue, and then after that, it's all bets are probably off. Terrace Marshall looked decent on a couple of plays, but yeah, fuck that for right now.
I can remember on draft night 2 years ago, somebody drafting that the Panthers just got the steal of the draft.
I did, yeah. I thought so. Well, fuck that guy.
You got to use him.
I would love to see how that goes, but
circumstances dictate.
So, speaking of circumstances, Tom Brady, witchcraft? What do you think? Feeling this or fuck it?
Fuck it. No, fuck this. All this nonsense. Tom Brady, play better, please.
I don't know. According to some of my Twitter feed, I'm hearing explanations as to what Tom Brady admitted and what and what Giselle does and TikTok, and I'll just say I'm endlessly amazed at what people will believe when you throw it onto the Twitter. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's the witchcraft we should all look into. Because when somebody says something on Twitter, there's about 500,000 people who will instantly believe it for no other reason than it was on Twitter. Listen,
congratulations to them.
Yeah, the only thing supernatural I'm believing about social media is Infernum Asylum on TikTok. You can follow him. He likes to dress up as a demon, and he has a good sense of humor about himself. That would be about it. Demon TikTok over witch TikTok. Fuck witch TikTok. I'm feeling demon TikTok. At least in this case. Isaiah Pacheco.
Feeling the starting component in the backfield of an explosive offense. Yes. I mean, and you can tell the enthusiasm in my voice here, right? I mean, so when the news broke that he's moving to the starting lineup, trust me, I'm on the radio pregame and you see the social media and you see everyone going insane. And, fantasy community is a pool full of fish. When you throw that lure in the water, we are all heading that way immediately, right? And I get it. but don't overplay this one. I think he looks like a decent enough player. He's going to get some opportunities. He's in a really good offense. That's where he's at.
Fuck that narrative. Fuck that narrative. And the reason is this, is that you're right, we're so prone to that. But if we thought about the way Andy Reid uses platoon systems, unless he has LaShawn McCoy or Jamal Charles, players of that caliber, or Kareem Hunt, when one of his players who earned the platoon lead gets hurt, that was the only reason Kareem Hunt really was as good as he was as a rookie. He was a quality player. He's a borderline elite player. But Spencer Ware, who had worked his way through that platoon system, which took him all year for him to actually get incrementally more carries to become the guy he was late in the season. Once he got hurt, that was when they brought in that was when he worked out. When he got hurt, that was when basically Hunt got most of the opportunities. And they had to disguise things because they didn't have another pass protector. But otherwise, Andy Reid is very incremental about giving more and more touches. And just because they say, well, Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the starter, he's going to earn the starting position, what that meant was, instead of, they split the carries almost down the middle between three players, it just means that he got slightly more than everybody else. And you could see it play out in this game.
In a fantasy world where I had to play plenty of Jerick McKinnon yesterday, Isaiah Pacheco, but that's what he is, right? I mean, that's what you should be feeling him as one piece of a multi-piece backfield in a very explosive.
It's going to take, at best, about another 3 to 5 weeks of Pacheco slowly earning more. And until he earns passing game reps as both a blocker and receiver on a more regular basis than what you see from him, it ain't going to matter.
Well, look, he's not the heartbeat of that offense. Michael Carter's the heartbeat of the Jets offense, and now he has a role. Feeling it?
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I mean, because I think he's pretty much the only stable part of the heartbeat in that. I think, that pericarditis might not be a good thing for this for this Jets offense. And speaking of which, Zach Wilson, fuck that. Fuck it before, fuck it now. The guy does not have pinpoint accuracy, even with targets where he has time to throw the ball. He doesn't make mature decisions. It's beginning to smell a lot like Baker Mayfield. That's what I'm saying.
Feel it for exactly that. I know what he is. He has identified himself, and I have accepted that identity. Thank you, Zach Wilson.
Hey, clarity's good. That's
right,
for sure.
Right,
that's for sure. Darius Slayton, let's come back to him.
I feel Darius Slayton. I love Darius Slayton, but again, the role is a little bit suspect, and it seems like there might be another player showing up who might usurp the opportunities that I will hope Slayton might get.
Well, unless that player is Kadarius Toney or Kenny Galladay, I think there's enough room for Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson.
Probably so.
I think because they almost split targets, and Slayton did score. It was a shaky looking score, kind of a Terrace Marshall looking kind of catch there for him to be able to come down with it, but it was a nice one nonetheless. Wan'Dale, you got to be feeling that. The way they want to use him, it works. He's a substitute for the running game.
I feel like we've asked the wrong question. Are you feeling Danny Dimes?
No.
Hater.
But I'll say this: if I have him backing up Tom Brady, I'm feeling him more than Tom Brady right now. So I will be okay with that for now. But no, I'm not banking the rest of my season on him just yet.
He'll snap at you like he snapped at Marcus Johnson.
Well, he's cranky. He went to the school that shall not be named in my household. That's But I'm sure if I say it right now, I'll hear somebody yelling, "Did you just say that?" But Travis Etienne, are you feeling him as a running back one down the stretch after what he did this past Sunday?
Yeah, plus what he's done the previous 2 Sundays as well. I'm feeling this, and James, where are you, man?
Yeah, I mean, are you? Well, maybe the better question is, are you feeling whether or not James Robinson was actually just hurt? Because that's what the coaches are saying, is that they have to evaluate that it wasn't the fumble inside the 5. They trust him.
They'd like us to think.
Well, I mean, is there something to that, or is that all bullshit?
It's probably all bullshit, but I'd like to tell myself that story because I had to play James Robinson in a couple leagues, and I'd like at least a reason to believe he failed for in something other than a fumble. But back to ETN, yes, feeling him. The rise has been real and visible if you've watched any of their games and watched his play. He's been the first guy on the field. I think a lot of times in these split backfields, same thing with Pacheco. I mean, if you're investing in the one piece, and we'll see this probably going forward in New England and Chicago and multiple places, the first guy maybe is the guy you want to have because he has the first chance to get a hot hand. Doesn't mean he gets it, but if he does, he stays in the game. But ETN is definitely the hot hand right now, and I think he's a player on the rise.
Yeah, Jacksonville needs ETN to succeed more than the Chiefs need Pacheco to succeed in terms on an every game basis, and they do a lot of things well with their gap style running and how they implement him in the receiving game. So he's also allowed to make mistakes. And he has, and he will continue to, because he is a mistake-prone running back. But he's also a huge big play threat who can basically win your fantasy league on the difference of 1 or 2 plays a game in terms of what he can do. Arthur Smith's tenure in Atlanta, though, are you feeling that? Are you feeling it for, are you for the rest of the year? Let's say that. Are you feeling it for the rest of the year?
Offensive geniuses even need to get wins, and he needs more of those. He's had some. Look, I mean, what does it tell you, though, when one of the more innovative offensive thinkers in the league thinks the best plan of attack is to just run the damn ball? It tells you he thinks he doesn't have a lot of great weapons or he can't figure some things out. I think he probably showed he can figure things out over the course of time. So maybe he understands the strengths of this team, and he's going to live or die with them, and it may well be die.
I have questions about this team, and I have questions about this coach because, yes, they can run the ball reasonably well. Yes, we know what Kyle Pitts is capable of. We know what Drake London is capable of. I think he knows more than anything that he knows what his quarterbacks are capable of, and that's the biggest deal.
Yep.
And because I'll be honest with you, I said this, and it got Dwayne McFarland to come as close as possible of saying "fuck it" on Twitter, which was I wouldn't start Olamide Zaccheaus in a fire. Well, I'll say this: I like Olamide Zaccheaus. I know what he's capable of. I don't think that team does know what he's capable of because he's slowly had to convince them over about 3 years. And he's not a fantasy threat, but he's actually getting more love than the 2 guys that the fantasy analysts all over Twitter are like obsessing over on a weekly basis lately. So, right, fuck that.
Arthur Smith gets a little leeway for being the first coach over the course of how many years to figure out what Cordell Patterson does well and implement that into a game plan to great effect. And I mean, some of those other coaches included guys like Bill Belichick, who are widely considered great coaches. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be totally dismissive of what Arthur Smith is doing with this offense because I think there are probably reasons for it.
I agree, and I think those 2 reasons are the 2 quarterbacks that they have,
and he'll still get fired.
And it's a shame, yes, because fuck whoever drafted those 2 quarterbacks, or acquired one and then basically drafted the other, because I don't believe in either of those 2 guys. Taysom Hill.
Feeling him for exactly what he is. Again, have we mentioned the shallow pond at tight end? And like, so if you're looking at, you're outside the room full of really good, consistent producers at the position, staring in through the window with a sad face, and you have a Taysom Hill in your pocket, I'm going to be okay playing him because the high variance, I mean, he gets the high leverage looks on occasion, but that's all he is, right? Don't pretend he's something more. He's not a magical elixir or a super powered totem. He is a low snap count guy who gets high leverage spots.
He's the best gadget in the league.
Yes.
And usually the best gadgets go in the kitchen as opposed to being like that thing that you use for your audio or your video system that gets lost in the couch cushions. This is something that's simple, it's effective, it's got a place, and it does the job you ask it to do. It does like 3 jobs basically on a certain level in a very compartmentalized way, and I'm all for it. Eno Benjamin, though, are you feeling him?
A little bit. I mean, I'm feeling he looked like he ran super hard, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw. And I have yet to be impressed with James Conner, who I invested in heavily. So maybe this is a spiteful feeling it, more against James Conner than for Benjamin.
I'm feeling it at the end of your rosters as somebody that you can start on a bye week, especially because he's going to get a solid amount of touches for you and do at least reasonably well with them. Keontae Ingram, I'm totally feeling Keontae Ingram as the future. Whether or not he can usurp Darrell Williams is the big question. I think he can, but I'm not sure I'm feeling Cliff Kingsbury to really recognize that Keontae Ingram can be that guy.
At some point, the Cardinals need to have a serious. I think they've already had it, and they just, the contractual issues are enough. But Cliff Kingsbury is not the offensive mind that they thought he was.
They need to have a rider. They should have had a rider about this dude's house that could have helped him sell that house, to get out from under him, so that he'd recoup something. But these coaches, man, I'm telling you, they could probably buy all the real estate in the United States. What they're getting paid monthly, even after they get fired. I know Matt Rule. That. Yeah, exactly. DeAndre Hopkins. Let's end on a good note.
I'm feeling it. I mean, like he looks like he picked up right where he left off, and it actually looks like he picked up where he left off the last time he was playing well, because he wasn't playing well the end of last year. So I liked him. Looks rejuvenated. Looks fresh. I think he'll be, and obviously the connection with Kyler Murray remains strong. Feeling it.
I'm always feeling old man game. DeAndre Hopkins has old man game. Bob Harris has old man game.
Hey, damn right.
I think I've got old man game. I'm getting there. We'll see. But, depends on the week. I'm kind of buggering on and off on that one. So anyway.
Let's hope for better next week. From Tom Brady, another old guy who needs to pick up the pace a little bit, Tom.
That's all right. Yeah, busy, and fuck that witchcraft bullshit. All right. If the chair's rocking, don't come knocking. Have a
Love you. Goodbye.
Bye.